Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. So today we're going to be talking about cyclical fitness and nutrition, specifically for female hormones. You already know why it is so important for women to be programming specific routines for their hormones, their bodies, just to women in general, because we're so vastly different from men. We have so many differences. And so having our own programming is so important. So what does it mean to work with the hormones? I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, but we haven't gone into a whole lot of specific detail. So cyclical fitness is a type of training that actually fluctuates intensity with the fluctuating hormone levels for each phase of your cycle. The 4 phases of the menstrual cycle actually break down into the follicular phase, the ovulatory, the luteal, and the menstrual phase. These are 4 extremely important phases that we're going to discuss. So hormones are lowest during the menstrual phase, which lasts about 5 to 7 days depending on each person and how balanced their hormone levels are. This particular time is best just to avoid a lot of intense activity. I know that a lot of women want to power through and they're like, well, I don't care if I'm on my period, I'm going to power through this anyway. Unfortunately, the downside to that is that intense activity during this time can actually create uterine problems that can cause issues down the road. And that includes tilts and prolapses. And it can cause a lot of pain. It can cause a lot of just increased issues, especially regarding PMS and cramping, that kind of stuff, which none of us really want anyway, right? So really just try to avoid as much as possible just any kind of intense, seriously intense type of exercise. For the first 3 days, I usually recommend doing something very, very simple, very, very calm, such as stretching or maybe foam rolling or walking, just something really, really calming. Or, if you are still trying to get your hormones balanced and you're just not at a place where you like to move a whole lot, that's okay too. Getting up and walking downstairs or walking to the bathroom is still enough physical activity for those first 3 days. And then as you get to the end of your cycle, that's when you want to start adding more activity, because that's when you enter the follicular phase. So the follicular phase is when estrogen begins to rise again, which increases your energy levels, and it also increases your endurance. So this is when you start experiencing increased energy levels. This is when you can start increasing your intensity levels because you want to match up with those energy levels. So increasing your intensity, increasing your cardiovascular, strength training. You can start adding weights back in. You can start running if you want to. This is the perfect time to start adding that in. I apologize, guys. The sun is directly in my face now. So this prepares you for the ovulatory phase. And the ovulatory phase is when estrogen and testosterone are at their highest. This is when you're going to be the best version of yourself. Honestly, it's one of my favorite phases because having your estrogen and testosterone so much higher allows you to do heavyweight workouts and build muscle faster. So if women are exercising at strong, just super intense levels during their ovulation phase, they're more likely to build muscle a lot faster. So this is typically when you find that bulking is easier. You can do heavier weight training, HIIT, lots of seriously intense workouts. You can try doing CrossFit. It's not my favorite, but this would be the time to do that. And then finally, we round out this cycle with your luteal phase, which is when your energy levels start to drop in preparation for menstruation. So your progesterone levels are starting to rise, estrogen is starting to lower, energy levels slowly decrease, motivation decreases as well. So workouts kind of are a little bit harder to build into this particular phase, because for me, I know when I enter this phase, my energy levels just go so much lower, and it's frustrating, but as long as you get into the groove of exercising, you should be able to continue doing workouts. just maybe decrease the intensity level a little bit. So working with these phases and planning workouts based on your cycle. So not everyone's cycle is going to be the same. You might have a 5-day menstrual phase, and you might have a shorter luteal phase, or you might have a longer menstrual phase, and you might have other phases that are just shorter or longer depending on your cycle. So not everyone's going to be the same, which is really cool. Why learning why cyclical fitness works and why it's important so that you can apply it to your own personal cycle and phasing. But it also helps for productive energy use. So your energy levels fluctuate based on the phase that you're in. And so the high energy phases, you're going to use that energy to your utmost capabilities. And then when your energy is lower, you're going to take that time to really recenter yourself and relax, and maybe do some de-stress work and breath work. So being productive with your energy levels is so important. But it also helps with better muscular strength gains, as well as muscular endurance gains and power. So it's really important for those of us like myself who really love building muscle and looking strong. Working with your cycle is going to help you not only build that muscle faster, but keep it longer. So you're not going to exercise during your ovulatory phase and then just kind of fall off the wagon during your luteal phase and your menstrual phase, and then get back into it in your follicular phase and just completely lose the muscle mass. It doesn't work that way. You're going to maintain it, because during your luteal phase, you're going to maintain that musculature through low intensity workouts so that during your menstrual phase, you can take that time to relax and then throw yourself right back into it during your follicular phase. It's really amazing once you start working with your body to see how your hormones react. And I tell a lot of people who aren't necessarily able to do a full-on nutrition program right away, or they have trouble balancing their hormones, that this cyclical fitness is a really great place to start. It's a really excellent place to start for people who find it just difficult. It's because not only are you building muscle, but you're also training fast and slow twitch muscle fibers individually, but also together, and you're promoting that hormone balance. You're working with the fluctuations of the hormones. You're aiding in weight loss and just so many more amazing benefits that come with it. So I mentioned hormone balance. Obviously, that's our topic for the month if you've been following along, not only here, but on the podcast and also on Instagram. Something that I personally have noticed is that when I work with my cycle, my hormones remain steady and I don't experience PMS as strongly. Now, I still experience PMS because I'm still working through estrogen dominance and gut dysbiosis. That's something I'm working on and working through. But I've noticed that just by adding this cyclical fitness into my routine, I am finding that my cycles are so much easier to manage. And it's really exciting, so exciting. Because what you're doing is you're using those hormones to their utmost. They all have benefits. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, we have been breaking down each hormone individually, telling you all of the benefits, all the wonderful benefits, symptoms of highs and lows, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really cool to dig into that. So you're using them at their utmost, and you're not working against them. You're working with them. You're working with the fluctuations, which is really cool. You're not forcing your body to do what it can't or shouldn't at certain times. You're listening to your body. It really does make you very aware of changes that happen in your body once you start paying attention to your hormonal fluctuations. Because if you pay attention to your hormonal fluctuations, which hormones they can be very subtle, then if you pay attention to them, then you are training your body to pay attention to other changes that might happen throughout your body, like organ function changes and things like that. So you become more aware, which is also a very exciting thing as well. So as far as nutrition, because we can't take fitness without the nutrition. Obviously, we can't separate them. I never recommend that we separate them. It's very important to have them together. You can do the same thing. We can cycle through nutrition. It is a little bit more frustrating because sometimes we just want to eat what we want to eat and we don't want to have to worry about it, and that's fine. I'm not saying that we can't do that, but when you're working on a hormone balancing program, if you're just starting out, cycling through your nutrition might be a good idea. Especially if you deal with a lot of PMS and if you have estrogen dominance, it would be the best thing that you can do for your body is to cycle through nutrition as you're doing your fitness as well. So it doesn't have to be a huge ordeal. It can be something very, very simple. You can work through your phases with nutrition very, very easily. There are simple things that you can do. As long as you're supporting each hormonal phase with whole organic nutrition and you can maintain your physical activity levels, then you'll be in great shape. And then when we add in seed cycling, which you probably have already heard about, then you've got yourself a well-rounded plan to help you support the hormonal fluctuation. As for seed cycling, if you've never heard of it, you are supposed to consume pumpkin and flax seeds during the first half of your cycle. So that's the day 1, the day you start your period, to the day that you ovulate. So that's 1 through 14 roughly. Again, everybody's cycle is going to be different. You might not ovulate on day 14, you might ovulate on day 15. So you go by the day you start and the day you ovulate. That is your first half of your cycle. So you're going to do pumpkin and flax. Now, flax seeds, I always tell people do not buy them pre-ground because basically you've taken all of the nutritional benefit out of them at that point and they have oxidized. So the only way that you can maintain ground flax seeds is by grinding them and putting them in the freezer and storing them there. It's going to maintain the health benefits of it. So if you make little hormone balancing bites, which I usually put my clients on, you can actually grind up the flax seeds, put them in the hormone bites, and put them in the freezer and store them there. And then you have your second phase, which is going to be sunflower and sesame seeds. And that will be on days 15, so the day after you ovulate, to the day before you start, which would usually be around day 28, day 29, depending on your cycle. So all you need is a tablespoon of the mixed seeds. So if you have pumpkin and flax, you're going to do a tablespoon of both together. And if you have sesame and sunflower, you're going to have a tablespoon of those both together. So it's really, really easy. And you can make hormone balancing bites, like I said, with almond butter. You can mix them all together with all the seeds. And I do have a recipe for my clients that I love. You can also make granola bars. You can do trail mixes. Be creative with it because you're going to be eating these a lot. So it has to be tasty. It has to be tasty, and it can get boring, so you want to make sure that you change it up a little bit. So if you have like a month where you're doing the hormone bites, then do the next month do granola bars, and then the next month change back to the bites, and then the next month maybe try a snack mix. So just keep it interesting. And then if you want to go even further into nutrition cycling, it can be done as follows. And I'm not going to give you a lot of details because we could talk about this forever. But I also have programs that are specifically dedicated to this. So if you are interested in going through a hormone protocol, I do try to keep the fitness and nutrition together as much as possible. But if you just want to try a nutrition program, I do have one that is for balancing estrogen, progesterone. We have a thyroid one, adrenals. It's all separated into sections because each hormone is so important, but they all have individual differences. So this particular hormone protocol would be just basically hormone balancing for PMS, menstruation, and gut health, because the gut health is directly linked with estrogen in particular. So if you didn't listen to my episode that I uploaded on Wednesday this week on the podcast, I highly recommend checking that out, because what we talked about was the role of estrogen in the liver and how the liver breaks it down and gets rid of it out of the body, and how estrogen dominance can become an issue. So anyway, that's a really interesting subject, so you can go ahead and check that out if you want to. So anyway, going back to nutrition cycling. So during your menstrual phase, obviously you want some very calming things. We want warm, calming foods, soups, stews, things like that. Just anything that's going to calm you. Comfort food is basically what you want to lean toward. You want to limit your caffeine, limit your alcohol, limit your sugar intake. You're only doing this for 5 days, okay? This is in order to maintain really great vitamin and mineral balance, but also promote healthy menstruation and prevent PMS symptoms. You also want some calming teas. You can build in some ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an amazing adaptogen. It's going to help with any anxiety or depression. Grass-fed beef, root vegetables, hearty stews, anything with iron. You don't want to take iron supplements, but if you can consume foods that have iron naturally in them, this is going to be a really great time to build those in. And then you have your follicular phase, which is when your hormones are starting to rise again, your energy levels are starting to rise, and you're entering your fertility window. So red raspberry leaf tea, especially if you're trying to get pregnant, is going to be a really good idea. Eggs, fish, anything full of essential fatty acids, basically, lentils, fermented foods and snacks, and lots of protein. Because your metabolism and your energy is raised, you're going to need that protein and those carbohydrates and those EFAs to really fill you up and maintain really good skin and hair texture, and making sure that you are maintaining hormone balance. So then we enter your ovulatory phase. During your ovulatory phase, you want still a lot of proteins and fibers. We need to be careful of constipation. So you're preparing for your luteal phase, which is usually when constipation sets in. So lots of fibers, lots of healthy fibers, lots of fresh vegetables, raw and cooked. If you have a gut dysbiosis issue, probably cooked would be your best bet. But if you are not struggling with that at all, if you have no digestive problems, go ahead and go for raw, because that's going to actually be really great fiber. Fishes, fruits, red meats, peppers, greens, quinoa, just all the fresh stuff, And this is going to, again, help with bulking as well. So you've got lots of carbohydrates, lots of proteins, lots of fiber, lots of fresh veggies, EFAs, all that good stuff. And then the final phase, your luteal phase, we're going to go into the calming teas. We're going to go into the cod and the halibut, so the white fishes, not something too difficult to digest. We're going to do cruciferous vegetables. Again, we're going in with the fiber. We're cleaning out the liver, making sure that it's breaking down that estrogen properly. Fresh vegetables, chickpeas, squash, grains, magnesium, calcium, dark chocolate. So basically what you're doing in this phase is you're preparing your body for menstruation by fueling it with healthy vitamins and minerals that are going to help you stay calm and relaxed through this phase and this cycle. It's super easy to adjust your diet based on your cycle, combine it with your cyclical fitness, and you will be so happy and balanced you won't even recognize yourself. It will be amazing. Are you ready for less PMS? Because this is going to help get rid of all of that PMS. If you are interested in applying these concepts to your daily routine, again, I have so many programs that would help you do this. You're more than welcome to go check them out, and I always offer free consultations. Your first consultation is completely free. So if you ever had any questions or you want to see if these programs will be a good fit for you, then I highly recommend giving me a call or scheduling it online. And to make your search a lot easier, I have linked everything that you need to know in the description box below so that you can find it no problem. So if you'd like to learn more about hormones and hormone balance, I am actually still hosting workshops dedicated this week to that very subject, and I will be teaching more in the future. So be sure to keep an eye out for those, because I will be rescheduling in May for new workshops. And always reach out if you have any questions. I am happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. So in the meantime, thank you guys for watching. I'm very excited to be talking about all of this stuff, about talking about hormones with you guys. We're going to be switching gears next week a little bit. But until then, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in my next video.